Ah, Paladin. Good. Now that the unfortunate matter regarding Dance has been settled, we can return to our primary mission.
Do you think Dance's execution was justified?
It's quite obvious Dance was a traitor. Or at the very least, a turncoat in the making. That machine's presence was endangering this ship and its crew. So it needed to be dealt with, swiftly and without mercy. Your actions in this matter were not only justified, they were vital to our mission. With all of that behind us, we can shift our focus back to our wartime preparations.
No rest for the weary.
We'll rest when the Institute is a smoking ruin. Until then, Elder Maxon and I expect you to be at your best. Now, before we launch our attack on the Institute, we need to address another threat. The Railroad. They're a small but capable group that uses subterfuge and guerrilla tactics to harass their enemies. Our tactical analysis says they could possibly hamper or harm our operations, which is a risk I'm not willing to take. If we strike them now, we should be able to maximize the amount of damage we do to their organization.
Fine, but it hardly seems worth our time.
The Railroad may not appear to be a threat, but I can assure you they are a potential danger. Destroying the Railroad hinges on completely eliminating their leadership. Otherwise, they'll simply regroup somewhere else. To that end, here's a list of the 5 targets we believe would cause a catastrophic failure in their chain of command.
Do they all have to die?
Absolutely. It's the only effective way of ensuring that they're no longer a threat. Now, before you depart, Proctor Ingram has additional orders for you to complete.
Our sources tell us that the Railroad has some sort of experimental or prototype robot in their headquarters. They're calling it the Predictive Analytic Machine, or PAM for short. Cute, huh? They use the robot for complex strategic calculations that are much more efficient than anything we can generate here. If you could use this holotape to decrypt the security on Pam's terminal, it will force the unit to return to the Prydwen. I'm certain we could put Pam's computing power to good use. Otherwise, destroy it. We wouldn't want it to fall into the Institute's hands.
Anything useful you can tell me about Pam?
We have very little information on it. Its primary function is supposed to be using mathematical calculations in order to predict future events. I have no idea how successful it was, but if the Railroad's been using Pam for this long, it's got to be providing them with some sort of benefit. I'm sure Proctor Quinlan would be pleased to have it in his possession.
I think that should be sufficient information to assist you on the mission, Paladin. When you're ready, proceed to the Old North Church and link up with our assault team. They'll provide demolition support and all the firepower you'll need to take the Railroad down. Ad Victoriam, Paladin.
I've been waiting for you.
Yeah, the line at the car wash was super long. Took me forever.
Your attempt at humor is wasted. Our targets are inside, 4 synths under railroad protection. Majority of the settlement is uninvolved and are expected to run for cover. The situation appears to have escalated. A covert approach is likely impossible. The mission's parameters just changed. Backup relay now.
destruction is inevitable.
Here they are.
God, it's a courser.
Oh no!
Issue the reset codes and we'll relay back to the Institute. Time is critical.
Heads up! They went door.
I can't believe you'd do that for us. Thank you.
Hi.
You've given us another chance at life. We won't forget it.
Hi.
Thank you for sparing us.
Excuse me.
We'll get somewhere safe as soon as you're back.
Sensor reading detected.
Whenever you are.
Sean.
You know, in all my years, I've never set foot outside the Institute. Not once. Since the day they brought me here. I've never had a reason. But now, this just confirms the truth I've always known. The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
So why come out here?
To put things in perspective, I suppose. Standing here, I'm reminded of how fortunate I am that I was spared a life in this wasteland. I know that to you, I was kidnapped from that vault. In truth, the Institute rescued me. Both of us, really.
They left me on ice. For 60 years.
They did. And for good reason. I was the perfect candidate. An infant with uncorrupted DNA. But if something were to go wrong, if I died, well, the Institute realized a contingency plan was prudent. Another source of pre-war DNA, preferably related to their primary subject. It only made sense that my parents should fill that role. So you were kept alive and safe within the vault. I'll admit, when I had you released from Vault 111, I had no expectations that you'd survive out here in all this. To not only do so, but manage to find me. To infiltrate the Institute itself. Extraordinary.
Why let me out now? After all this time?
Well, that's hard to explain. Certainly, it was no longer necessary to keep you suspended. Well, I suppose I wanted to see what would happen. An experiment of sorts. I had no idea what kind of man you were, you see. Would the Commonwealth corrupt you? As it has everything else? Would you even survive? Perhaps most curious to me, would you, after all this time, attempt to find me? And now I know the answer.
Well, here I am. Was it worth it?
I believe so. Soon, I hope. I hope you'll understand. Everything I've done has been for the future. A future which I hope is not in jeopardy after recent events. Bunker Hill did not go well for us. Would you care to explain what happened?
I made a choice. I let the synths go free.
Why? Why would you do something so stupid?
It was the right thing to do, Sean.
There's no moral choice to be made here. This was such a simple task. I just don't understand. I know you're capable of handling yourself. How can I expect you to represent the Institute if this sort of thing continues?
What if I don't want to represent the Institute? Have you thought about that?
To be quite honest, no, I hadn't considered that. It would be such a poor decision on your part. I had not given it much thought.
So where does this leave us?
I need to be sure I can count on you going forward. I had hoped we could be something like a family again. I hoped you shared our vision for the future. I'm afraid there's no room for sentimentality, Father. If you are not with us, then you are against us. Whatever you do going forward, do not interfere with the Institute's plans. I hope you can find some amount of peace.
Me too, Sean.
Goodbye, Father.